After the meeting, despite some upbeat talk, it was clear not much was accomplished. No ceasefire, no details, no questions from the press, just vague assurances that some progress was made without explaining what that was.
All right, folks, Fox News, surprisingly, at least some of it, continues to hammer Donald Trump over his abject and objective failure at the Alaska summit with Vladimir Putin. Now, this comes as today, as we speak, Donald Trump will be meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and other European leaders. Now, it's possible that there is some sort of ceasefire or peace deal negotiated during this meeting. It is possible. I'm not pretending that it is impossible. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm making no predictions whatsoever. But I do think it's important that Trump's failure thus far with respect to Ukraine and Russia is so obvious, it's so objective, that multiple Fox News hosts are continuing to talk about it. And we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, that was Howard Kurtz, host of Media Buzz, if I remember, I almost said BuzzFeed, Media Buzz on Fox News. Now, listen, this is a guy who will occasionally criticize Trump and praise Democrats to the extent that that exists outside of Jessica Tarlov on Fox News. I want to play some more of this clip because it includes an interview with a former Biden official and one of the editors, I think it might be the editor-in-chief of the Conservative National Review, Rich Lowry, who he's trying to give Trump some rope here, but even he is deeply unimpressed with what Trump has done thus far with respect to Russia and Ukraine.
President Trump, to his credit, didn't oversell what happened, or more precisely, what didn't happen.
There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there.
The president, who meets with Zelensky and European leaders tomorrow at the White House, said there would probably be another meeting with Putin. I'm Howard Kurtz, and this is Media Buzz. The media reaction to the Alaska session varied sharply, but much of it was negative.
So he went for a ceasefire. He leaves with nothing. Putin got a flyover, a red carpet, a lot of handshakes.
The big winner of today's summit, outside of all of that, what we just saw, was undoubtedly Vladimir Putin.
This joint news conference was anything but. It was not a news conference. There were no questions taken by either leader. There were many yelled by reporters there, but we don't have a sense of what exactly is in this agreement or this deal.
I think it was brilliant by President Trump.
We'll stop right there for just a second. Okay, so that right there was Brett Baer, okay, again, somebody who kisses Trump's ass, who grades him on a curb. Not the most MAGA Fox News host, but certainly more MAGA than not. And as we discussed in a video at the time of the summit, apparently Trump had told reporters that if the meeting goes well, there would be a joint press conference with him and Putin, and they would both take questions. And if it didn't go so well, he would send Putin back to Russia, and then Trump himself would take questions from reporters. But apparently it was so bad that neither of them took questions from reporters. They just issued public statements, declarations to the media, and then they walked the hell away. And reporters were like, whoa, what the hell? That's why Fox News reporter Jackie Hinrich, and I'll remind you of what she said because I'll play a quote at the end or a clip at the end. What my point is, I guess, it's not like it's just liberal media pushing back on this. The call is coming from in the House. Most of Fox News, the actual reporters, thought this was a failure. Of course, now you have Jason Chaffetz here, who is trying to put a spin on it.
To actually say, look, we don't want to just give an unlimited podium to Vladimir Putin. Go ahead and make his comments so that President Trump can clean up any messes that may have been left on aisle 7.
The more I replay it in my mind, it is so extraordinarily vague. It lacked almost any real substance.
Joining us now to analyze the coverage in New York, Rich Lowry, editor-in-chief of National Review. And with me, Megan Hayes, former top official in the Biden White House. Rich, big picture first. Was this a setback for President Trump? The coverage has been heavily negative, even from some of those who ordinarily support the president.
Yeah, I think Putin moved the ball a little bit in his direction, right? Putting off the talk of the ceasefire, at least for now, and getting Trump to stop threatening secondary sanctions and harsher measures. But Howie, I think what we've learned, you can't be premature on these things. You can't judge them too quickly. That's what we learned with the trade deals. That's what we learned with getting NATO to commit to spending more on defense. The media coverage always tends to be, this is stupid, this is doomed to failure, just inevitably. And then very often, not always, but very often, there's a method to the madness, and Trump ends up getting where he wants to go.
Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. Again, this is Rich Lowry, one of the editors-in-chief of the National Review. It's even more conservative than the Wall Street Journal. They're not as MAGA as, say, Benny Johnson or whatever, but like they really want to be. Trump just makes it really difficult for them because he's stupid and authoritarian. But let's just talk about that right now. Now, again, I agree with Rich Lowry that we can't just assume that Trump will always fail. We have no reason to assume that. We have no reason to predict that. A lot of us thought Trump would never get elected in 2016. Many people thought he wouldn't get reelected in 2024. Trump can warp political gravity to a greater extent than any other politician. But how he's handled this just thus far is objectively bad, and even Lowry concedes that. Like, yeah, Putin was the one who moved the ball, not Trump. What Lowry is hoping is like, well, because we can't predict the future, maybe Trump will succeed, and that will validate and vindicate Trump in the president. Bullshit. The idea that if you succeed in the future, it vindicates all of the mistakes and all the failures you had in the past, that's just not true. We can simultaneously say, yep, Trump might succeed as we speak today or tomorrow. But we can also say he has failed at every point up until this point. And to use the trade deals as an example, Trump wasn't vindicated on the trade. He promised 90 deals in 90 days. He's about 89 off, to the point that they started to move the goalpost and say, well, sure, we can't give you 90 bilateral trade agreements like we initially promised, but what if we give you like 1 or 2 and then like 88 unilateral tariff impositions? We just write a letter saying, hey, you're going to pay this tariff. No, that's not a trade deal, asshole. And Rich Lowry here is trying to muddy the waters of this idea that, well, Trump is underestimated all the time, and and he concedes, well, not always, but a lot of the time, Trump succeeds where the media expects failure. No, I would say more often than not, he fails as predicted, but occasionally defies expectations. Actually, reverse. He fails more often than not, but occasionally succeeds despite expectations. So, but again, that's Lowry trying to put a spin on it.
I'm in a wait-and-see mode.
Well, that's fair because there's a lot of things that we still don't know. Trump did leave much earlier than expected, but Megyn, did this lowering of expectations, it's just a listening exercise, help cushion the blow of not coming away with much that was concrete that we know about?
Yeah, it was kind of incredible to watch them come out and say, we're going to get a deal, to we don't know if we're going to get a deal. Now we're just listening. So setting the expectations game is someone who's worked in the White House and been part of these summits. You always want to set expectations lower, but you also don't want to plan a summit or a bilateral conversation without knowing what the deliverables are. Most of these conversations should have been worked out much further, and the leaders are the ones that put the final touches on it, and you go out and you announce the deal. So it's incredible the way they've kind of handled this, and it's a massive failure on Trump's part that he just let Putin have the red carpet, and metaphorically and actually the red carpet was just rolled out on American soil for him. So it's, the media is not wrong in being critical.
No, they're not wrong. And again, this idea that, well, he might succeed in the future, so you can't criticize him now, that's bullshit. When do we ever adopt that posture with any politician? When do Republicans adopt that posture with Democrats? These two things can be true at the same time, and they're not mutually exclusive. What's so funny is the pushback that Howard Kurtz, among others, at Fox News, is giving Trump on this is prompting more right-wing networks and organizations like Newsmax, for example, to freak out. So this is Todd Starnes, and I'm almost certain he works for Newsmax. Damn, I'm good. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't forget about it. But he goes, Fox News star Howard Kurtz joined his colleague Jackie Hinrich in attacking Donald Trump. Hinrich says Putin, quote, steamrolled our president. Kurtz said it was, quote, clear not much was accomplished. And yet Fox News continues to get exclusive access to the Trump White House. So these people are bitching. How dare you tell the truth when it's politically inconvenient for our cult leader, God, Emperor Trump? You can't do that. You shouldn't get at White House access. These people are losers. They are just abject losers. And speaking of Newsmax, as you can see actually up here, we're going to discuss this in a separate video. But let's talk about Jackie Hinrich since her name was consulted. MAGA Online were not happy about her initial review of the Trump-Putin summit. And we'll play a clip in just a second just to remind you, just to freshen the memory. Fox's Jackie Heinrich gives brutal review. Putin came in and steamrolled Donald Trump. And again, she got a lot of flack online, a lot of flack. Let's see if I can pull up this clip here. It's so funny. She was there. I mean, she was just like, she was stunned, visibly stunned. Okay, this is a reminder of what Jackie Heinrich, Fox News reporter, said at the time at the Fox, from Fox, at the summit between Trump and Putin.
Happened back there. It was just very unusual, atypical, and I think we're all awaiting, the readout, because the way that it felt in the room was not good. It did not seem like things went well, and it seemed like Putin came in and steamrolled, got right into what he wanted to say, and got his photo next to the president and then left. Of course, that is only the piece of the picture that we have right now, and certainly President Trump, who is the host and who is the president, would not want to, I think, enable something that would make him look weak.
But he did. And the red carpet treatment, again, like we haven't spent enough time on this channel, Trump ordered U.S. uniformed troops to get on their knees and roll out the literal red carpet for Vladimir Putin on U.S. soil. It was abjectly and objectively humiliating. So again, who knows what will happen today or tomorrow, but Donald Trump has failed thus far. He's failed so objectively, and especially, not only, but especially at that summit in Alaska with Putin, that even an increasing number of Fox News stars are calling him out for it on air, on Fox News, and actually pissing off their competitors. How dare you criticize Donald Trump? And it's hilarious to watch. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.